All right, fellow patriots, welcome back to another Friday Mental Jiu-Jitsu. My name is Michael Buell, and I am your champion. That's right, I brought the belt back to show you. It has something to do with today's episode of Put Up or Shut Up. So let me get started really quick. If you make a claim, you got to back it up. You got to bring receipts. So I'm going to tell you my claim. I've always made the claim I'm a tough guy. Well, I think I brought receipts, and I will prove it to you. The claim, remember, you're not allowed to say this anymore. So I'm just going to say technologically advanced people, and you're not allowed to say his name either. So I'm just going to call him the Austrian painter. I think you know who I'm talking about. Okay, the claim: America's greatest ally, made by Benjamin Netanyahu on the microphone in the front of the camera at Congress. So did he bring receipts? We're going to find out. So let's start with me right here. Did I bring receipts? Integrated busing system. They took a handful of soft-ass white kids in El Paso, Texas, and shipped us 45 minutes across to the barrio. These kids were first generation Americans. They spoke Spanish at home. Their parents were either unemployed or picked the strawberries. They didn't have anything. And we're getting, we're going to school and we got our brand new clothes on and our designer jeans and fancy Vans. Vans was a big thing back in the day. And we got our packed lunches with Capri Sun and orange, meat and cheese sandwich. We're better in school. We're better in class than they were. They're in line for the free lunch. So it was a culture shock. It was embarrassing for them. They grew up under a system called machismo, which means macho. So they beat us up. That's how they felt macho. They got to beat us up. Well, we were raised under a system where our parents would say, never get into a fight. If you're about to get into a fight, talk your way out of it. If you can't talk your way out of it, turn around and walk away. We were neutered Anglo-Saxon children, and all that did was get us punched in the back of the head. So yeah, so then after we did this, sixth grade, seventh grade, eighth grade, eighth grade, the really tough Mexican gangster guys started dropping out of school. High school was ninth and 10th grade for me in El Paso. I moved at 11th, and but we were getting bigger and stronger. We were getting better at fighting, so it wasn't that bad by the time high school started. But by then I was a monster. I was turned into a street fighting monster. I moved to Arizona and hooked up with some very angry white kids, and we fought other kids that thought they were tough, so we were street thugs. But I mean, like for real deal street thugs, knife fights, gun fights, baseball bat, crowbar. I've been in it all. I had a dude sling an arrow at me. 3-on-1, 1-on-3, 2-on-20, full blown gang warfare. I've kicked down dudes' front doors to get them. I've drugged people out of their cars. No, man, I mean, pro level street fighting type stuff. And then I saw the 82nd jumped into Panama and beat the shit out of Noriega's men. So I went right to the recruiter. I want 82nd Airborne. I want infantry. So boom, I get it. I get out of basic training, infantry, airborne school. I get to my unit. Like a week later, Saddam rolls into Kuwait, August 2nd. I'm sitting in the desert, August 19th. So I served honorably with the 82nd Airborne in the Gulf War. Came back. We had money in our pockets. We were gone for 8 months. We were drinking and fighting. I got an Article 15, of course, for fighting. I go to my new platoon, and my platoon sergeant says, join the boxing team. So, of course, I do. I had 7 fights in the Army. I am the 1992 155-pound All-American League boxing tournament champion. And like I said, 7 fights, 7 knockouts. So I get out of the Army with no job skills thinking, okay, well, I'm going to box. Put up or shut up. Let's fight. So about that same time, the UFC came out. Pride, Pancrase, Judo. So I started seeing all this. I'm like, man, you can't call yourself the toughest dude on the planet anymore as a boxer. So we started training MMA, my brothers and I. It was no holds bar back in the day. So we bought a wrestling mat. We started training on our own. We called it Fuel Fighting Systems. Well, put up or shut up. I took that shit on the road. I had the first 4 fights in the great state of Arizona they ever had. They're not even on my record. It's like in the gray area, legal, illegal. I should be in the like a pioneer area. They ought to open up for on a Sure Dog and Tapology where you can look at people's resume. I got videos of it. So yeah, but I took it on the road. I fought over the country. I fought a handful of places overseas. I backed it up. And then here, 1 month away from 56 years old, I go down to Mexico and do a bare knuckle boxing match. I put up, I shut up. Hey, I backed up, I brought receipts. Okay, the technologically advanced people, the Austrian painter, he bring receipts? Let's find out. So the Aborigines were colonized when he was 12 years old. So the level of their technology, their housing, was they bent saplings over and put bark on it. It was called a bark dwelling, and then they climb into that little cubby hole they built. That was their technology. That's bark dwelling. Fire stick farming. They'd get fired, they'd burn an area, and they see it grew back greener. And so they learned to do that. The Aborigines did. Water filtration. They figured out if you put clay and then sand and rocks, and then you pour water on it, and it siphons through. When it comes out, it's clean water. They came up with that. The boomerang. Everybody loves the boomerang. It's to kill large animals. They just throw it and bonk you on the head with it. Grass resin. They had porcupine grass. They'd thrash it. Flakes would fall off. They heat the flakes up and makes a glue. They attach a stone axe to a wood handle. They came up with this grass resin. Eel farming. Who knew there were eel in Australia? But of course, it's Australia. They got everything. And the didgeridoo, the termites would burrow holes through sticks, and then the Aborigines would paint it and blow on it and make some really cool, funky sounds. That's their technology. The Navajo, they're up in Arizona. They live in things called hogans, where they get sticks and they put sticks together and rocks and then dirt and grass, and they that's their dwellings. That's what they lived in. And they were colonized in 1863, so 26 years before his birth. But still, in this same time era, did he bring receipts? So we'll find out. One of their great things they build is blanket weaving and rugs. The Navajo are famous for it. It's expensive. You want to buy one. They go out into the desert, get like prickly pear fruit. It's super bright purple, and they make dyes out of plants. They came up with that. They got a stone called the grindstone. They put corn kernel on it, get another stone and grind it, make a flour. I guess they make tortillas or something. So they came up with that. This was fantastic. Three sisters farming method. The first sister is corn. You grow corn. Then the second sister is beans, and the beans have a stalk to grow up. And then the third sister is squash, and the squash has large leaves to keep moisture in. Boom! How do you beat that? Three sisters farming. Okay, the Zulu, they lived in Indulus, and it was wood and grass covered in thatch and then some kind of rope to hold it together. They handmade that rope themselves. They had a weapon called the Ikwao. It was a short spear. King Shaka Zulu himself invented it. That's pretty impressive. Pottery, they got a pottery called the Ukam. So this Ukam was used for ceremonies to drink beer out of, and it's also like the Navajo blanket. People really like to buy it. Some great Zulu movies called Zulu, 1964, Zulu Dawn, 1979, and Shaka Zulu miniseries, 1986. Hopefully, Netflix doesn't remake it and make Shaka Zulu a short little Chinese guy. I think that would be rude. Don't change the history. All right, the claim America's. So did he back it up? Did the mustache and did the Austrian painter? Did he back it up? Well, in his time frame, which is the same time frame as those people colonized, and you saw their technology. This is his technology. This is what he had in his lifetime. So you could read that on your own. I don't want to take your time. But I mean, cathedrals and zeppelins and helicopters and night vision. Yeah, man. Did he back it? You don't have to like it. You don't have to like him. But are they technologically advanced people? That's your decision to make. The claim, America's greatest ally, made by Benjamin Netanyahu live on television multiple times in Congress. Well, England, I thought, was our greatest ally, but they bombed the King David Hotel that was in Palestine mandate that the British were in control of to get rid of evidence of a Zionist plot for terrorism. They used terrorism to blow up the evidence of their terrorist plot. And just so you know, that sort of led to the British leaving and turning over that territory to Israel, to the Zionists, to build Israel. So terrorism was used to successfully gain Israel. And now England, the same country, has mandated Palestine its own sovereign land. And it's because of the October 7th terrorist attacks. So both countries are in existence because of terrorism. Isn't that fascinating? USS Liberty, a lot of people have heard about it. They understand that Israel sent some fighter jets to strafe a ship called the USS Liberty. But there's a whole lot more to it. So let me just tell you, as a dumb grunt in the Army, brand new, fresh in the Army, I got sent to Iraq, to the Saudi Arabian desert. The skies were filled with stars. And as airplanes flew over to go bomb them, attack them, I could tell you that that was a B-52, that's a stealth bomber, that's a A-10 Warthog, that's some sort of fighter jet. I don't know, but that's a fighter jet. I could tell you by the silhouette. Of course, anything, I can tell you the difference between a Chinook, a Blackhawk, an Apache, and the Kiowa. I can look at it and tell you, right? You're telling me that fighter pilots didn't know that was an American ship. They thought it was they're saying they thought it was an Egyptian ship. They're saying, oh, it was on accident. Americans sent people out there to investigate. It was on accident is the claim. So knowing that I could tell the difference between these types of crafts, you're telling me that the Israeli Air Force that sent the two fighter pilots, they couldn't tell that that was an American ship, American writing, American flag. It was Egyptian. The fighter pilots couldn't tell that that was an American ship, American writing, American flag. So that's what you're supposed to believe. So they strafed them. This was a 2-hour event. A lot of people don't know that. Then the Navy, the Israeli Navy, couldn't distinguish if that was an American or a Egyptian ship, even though it's flying an American flag, and you can tell the silhouette and it's in the daylight. So they sent 3 torpedo boats to attack the USS Liberty. They blew a giant hole in it. So American sailors started lowering lifeboats, and they machine gunned it. The torpedo boats machine gunned it. You know that that's illegal. You know in the Geneva Convention, you know just in regular warfare, that's illegal. But the Geneva Convention was signed in 1964, and this happened in 1967. So they knew. They killed 34 American sailors and wounded 171, and everybody says it was on accident. Do you believe that? You have to believe that. I'm not recruiting, I'm including. That's your greatest ally, right? And the greatest ally was caught red-handed in the Numak affair, where they stole highly enriched uranium, secretly sent it to Israel. Like 50% of what these people produced, they stole it from America, our greatest ally. They claim to have 0 nuclear weapons, but they also claim to have the Samson option. If they're about to fall under enemy threat, they're going to launch all their nukes, which everybody believes they got 400 of them. So people that don't have nuclear weapons got caught in the Creighton smuggling scandal, where they got caught stealing a timing device for copy machines, but are used for warheads, nuclear warheads. They got caught with 200 of them. Your greatest ally did. Your greatest ally, the woman that's in jail for trafficking children with Epstein to nobody, because nobody's in trouble for it, right? Her father, a known Mossad agent, Zionist, bought Macmillan Book Company, book publishing company, and he was instrumental in making history books for American students as you were growing up. So that's why you learned about the Austrian painter every year, and you never learned about the Jewish Bolshevik Red Terror, famine, 60 million white Russian Christians killed, the gulags. You didn't learn about Stalin and Lenin. No, man, you learned about this dude. Why would an Israeli dual citizen Zionist Mossad agent own American history books? Stop it, people. Then you got Epstein. All his videos are to blackmail our politicians. The reason the Biden administration didn't release it is because they're all on it. The reason the Trump administration isn't releasing it because they're all on it. And the ones that aren't on it, they're bought and paid for by AIPAC. And with the big insult is it's your tax money. Your tax money goes to Israel. Israel gives it to their AIPAC handlers. AIPAC handlers go and say, hey, man, you want some money? Do as we say. Nobody goes to England and leans on Big Ben wearing a big beaver fur hat, pledging allegiance, but they go there with the skull cap and pledge allegiance at the Wailing Wall. And you don't think you've been overthrown by 2% of the country? I don't know what to tell you. 9/11, yet they had forewarned knowledge. 5 Israelis set up cameras facing the World Trade Center, and they're smoking and joking, looking at the time. It's about to hit any moment now. Oh, hey guys, kaboom! And they get caught celebrating and dancing. They knew they were there for the purpose of filming it. They had forewarned knowledge. Larry No Show, I call him, the owner of the Twin Towers, Larry Silverstein, for the first time in years, didn't show up for his morning breakfast in the Twin Towers. He didn't go to the towers to eat breakfast, except for on this particular day, the same day that these guys knew to set up their cameras. The same time, something about the stock in the stock market. I'm no stock market type of dude, but there's something called put options, and you're banking on their stock to fail. Well, these people put these put options on American Airlines and on United Airlines to fail, which happened to be the two airline companies that crashed into the buildings, and their stocks plummeted. So a particular group of people made money. So you tell me, put up or shut up. Is it the claims America's greatest ally? I don't see it. All right, guys, come back later for a bare knuckle boxing update. I'd like to tell you about the trip down there and some of the things that happened. And as always, remember, resist and assist. I'm out.